everybody, Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching and Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channels. Welcome to those of you who are new here. We've got over 1,700 of these available for your listening pleasure, and old school, new school, and all points in between. We try to update this as often as we can. In any event, we move into October here on All Star Wrestling. October, I believe the 7th is our next run in the run of things. And if you're new here, we've got almost 100 of these, something like that. Or we're going to have almost 100 of these from 75 to 82. And obviously, I will do more when they put more up. Also, going to get back to the NXT series when these are finished. Going to go into AWA, Mid-Atlantic, WCW from the 80s, the NWA, the classic NWA, all sorts of cool stuff upcoming through the summer and into the fall and winter. So the goal is to have the largest audio wrestling review series, so you can basically capsize a few minutes and you're not wasting a whole bunch of time watching wrestling that is unnecessary. If there's things you enjoy, certain talents you enjoy, the goal is to have as many of these completed so that we can have literally 20, 30,000 pieces of content, and you can just click something. Hey, this is what's on it. This is what might be worth it, knowing that I'm a fan. No, we're not nerds like Dave Meltzer and other people who think that our opinion is the only one that matters, but we try to truncate things down into manageable standard and make it at least digestible. Anyway, so we move into, as mentioned, October of 1978, and we are with the October 7th, 1978 Vince McMahon featured announcement of Ivan Koloff facing Larry Zbyszko the following week, which ends up not happening. Ivan Koloff with Lou Albano defeating S.D. Jones with a knee drop off the top rope to open the show. Of course, Albano was the manager that helped Koloff to defeat Bruno Sammartino back in 1971. So here, 1978 still has that cachet. Also, S.G. Jones, a big enough star where the idea would be the battling between the two would be enough to get kind of a big match feel here. Punch kick by Koloff. Koloff manages to slam his man down. Nice comebacks, though, by S.D. Jones, but the second rope knee drop across the chest, too much for good old Mr. S.D. Jones, and a win for Koloff is what we see up next. Then we go into Luke Graham as the, I wouldn't say next run, but I guess supposing next run. Luke Graham with the Grand Wizard defeating Dave Darrow. 554 with a DDT, several knee drops after the bout. McMahon interviews Graham and the Wizard, and Graham basically says he can take out Superstar Billy Graham in this promo, or any of the Graham brothers, basically implying that he is the only Graham that matters. That's the idea behind this particular run of a promo. And, I mean, it's there, it's interesting, and needless to say, not necessarily needing to get nearly 6 minutes out of this match. Probably could have done the same thing in half the time. But front face lock and attempted takedowns. Obviously, this particular version on the network has a little bit of video distortion because of the age of the footage, hammer locks, and basic stuff by Graham. Graham goes from the hammer locks into the headlocks, drives his man back, tries to get as much of a victory as he possibly can, as quick as he can. But again, back to the hammerlocks, back to the basics, and Graham eventually hits a bunch of knee drops post-match, and as mentioned, the interview, they even do the pan up from the floor, almost like they did with Dude Love all those years later. The tease of issues between the Grahams might mean something in the future, who knows? But needless to say, we then go to another heel-dominated highlight here. Classy Freddie Blassie this time. Presenting Victor Rivera with Freddie Blassie defeating Dominic DeNucci via countout. DeNucci fails to get back in the ring at 6:27, following a dropkick which knocked him out of the ring to the floor. Interesting that Victor Rivera, a guy who previously had been a couple of levels, maybe one or two levels above an enhancement talent, but not terribly far, would be given an opportunity like beating DeNucci. DeNucci having been a mainstream guy, tag team champion multiple times, and ultimately a pretty big deal in the run at the time. Of course, teaming up and pairing up with Freddie Blassie probably gave him at least some degree of challenge, as it were, and ultimately kind of a shove off and some, basic punch kick stuff. And DeNucci does dominate the majority of the match. I'd say at least 60% of it, although Rivera always comes back, sends him into the buckle, sends him into wherever he can. Drop kick to the outside leads to Rivera getting the advantage and keeping it in his back pocket, so to speak. Then we go to another match relatively quickly. I like the pacing on this particular program in that matches are short, they're to the point, they get someone over, and that's the difference between them and Raw and SmackDown and NXT these days. Is half the time you don't know who's getting over. Yes, the matches might be a bit more, I don't even know, maybe sad or dark or whatever, but at the end of the day, you can certainly say that A won, B lost, and the purpose of the match was this. Jerry Blackwell with the Grand Wizard is up next here. Jerry Blackwell continues to be a guy that they've been pushing heavily for several months, even I would say at least half the year. Blackwell against two individuals, Jerry Ralph and Steve King in handicap match 427. Darrow gets pinned with a falling punch, and it's kind of there. I mean, I don't necessarily know that this is the greatest of matches, but the build for Jerry Blackwell has been incredible throughout. Obviously, there's a little bit of video distortion because of the age of the footage, 40 plus years old, and punch kick, and Blackwell, who has managed to get things going in his direction, snapmares the guy over, gets both guys under his control for the majority of the contest, and does not take a backward step. Then we go, after his victory, to the six-man tag team contest here. They get about 6 minutes out of this, and the six-man tag team contest is kind of interesting. Dino Bravo, Tony Guerrero, and Chief Jay Strongbow, who we haven't seen in a long while, defeats Spirit Arion and the WWF Tag Team Champions Yukon Lumberjack 621. I mean, to me, it's the highlight for Bravo here. That's the major factor. Although the return of the return of Strongbow is a thing here, which plays into next year. 79 is a pretty big deal. Anyway, needless to say, the Lumberjacks do the majority of the selling, especially the curly-headed Lumberjack. Always hard to keep them straight because I wasn't a fan at the time, and just keeping them straight can be somewhat difficult. Gurria spends the majority of time in the ring. Bravo coming in with a close second. Gurria always looking good. Odd that Gurria talked about wanting to be a single a few months before, but doesn't end up doing that. Also, a lot of arm bars, arm locks, and basic stuff by Bravo. We eventually see that the baby faces do come out ahead in this with the airplane spin. The other Lumberjack comes in and interferes. Airplane spin on Bravo, but the disqualification victory for the baby faces leads us where we want to go. And until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.